Definitely. I think in Shenzhen, we see a lot of hardware startups that are considering crowdfunding because they want to sell their products in the global market. But when they talk about crowdfunding, they have a product, but that's about it. They don't know what their customers in the US, across the world, are thinking. So the resources that they can access are only online, but they don't know what to search for. You just don't know what you don't know. So events like this give them a really great direction to start thinking about all of the things they haven't encountered before, and that's like marketing, events that they could be attending to interact with customers as well as distributors. So I think that this event in particular is going to be really compelling for the hundreds of companies that have come to attend today. I think the hardware startups here are very interesting. We have this spectrum of, I would call it different levels of capital that the startups have and different levels of product maturity. So on one front, we have companies that have a lot of money and can be really lofty with their inventions and their innovations. So what that typically means is that mindset that some of these entrepreneurs have is that they take a product and a technology, they mass produce it, and then they have a lot of units in the warehouse even before they hit the market. And then the way that they distribute that is through all of their marketing and sales channels locally here and potentially through crowdfunding. And then you have other companies that haven't really launched their product yet and they have a great idea. They were inspired to sort of create a product from scratch and solve a problem they see in the market. And from both ends of the spectrum their main challenge is distribution. It's not so much product, which is the problem that we see in the United States and other markets. A lot of the Western founders we work with, they have a really great idea and they know how to do marketing, but they don't know how to produce the product, and that's why they come to Shenzhen. So I think it's very interesting how these challenges are a little bit reversed when we talk about the Shenzhen ecosystem. Yeah, so I think with the US startups, typically the point of innovation tends to come from solving a problem that they see across a large group of people. Rather than thinking about, is this possible to create, they go through all of the possible avenues to say, here's the ideal product I want, now let's make it feasible to produce and ship. The point of innovation for a lot of Chinese companies is there a business model, or is there a money-making opportunity for me? Is there market demand but no product that fits that market? So I think because the source of innovation is very different, we see very different types of products come out from both markets. I'll give you one example. We see that a lot of Shenzhen-based makers are able to produce products that are peripheral accessories for smartphones. Whereas in the United States, we see less innovations around that. Instead, they're building things like potentially like robotic arms that solve a specific medical need, or they're trying to create a robot that does a specific thing. And then in China, we see sort of a little bit of a different point of innovation where they think, what's the largest set of customers that might be interested in this product? The first one is believing that more features equals a better product. So the common mistake I see is to look at crowdfunding and say, oh, on Indiegogo there were 3 other campaigns that raised $1 million in this product category. I have the exact same product plus 3 more features, therefore I must be raising $3 million on a multiple of 3 times better than the other campaigns. And that's just not true. Every product has its own corresponding seasonality, market demand, channels of distribution, and sometimes it just sort of takes being in the right place at the right time in terms of delivering the message to consumers and having the right content to share that message. So the common mistake is thinking that historical or past data reflects future sales. There's no industry in which that is true. Market demand is always changing, and if the stock market worked like that, we'd all be very rich right now.
So that right now.
Exactly, and I wouldn't be here either.
Yep.
So that's mistake number 1. Mistake number 2 is overemphasizing product, because in Shenzhen, it's all about product. It's all about developing a product and the resources for that. Versus in the United States, it's about your marketing channels. The products that sell the best sometimes aren't actually, from a features quality perspective, the best products. I think audio is a great example where you need to sell lifestyle around a pair of earphones. You need to sell the use cases. Is it best for listening to music with bass or something else? Or is it for people who have a bit of a streetwear fashion? So you need to sell a story versus a product. So I think that's mistake number 2. And then mistake number 3 is thinking that you can learn everything and do everything by yourself. So I regularly work with a lot of hardware founders who are very, very smart people on the research and development side, but fail to recognize that they really don't know how to run Facebook ads or really don't know how to shoot a video, despite their best intentions to create compelling marketing content. So I think these are, they typically do revolve around the marketing and product positioning front. This is where I see most founders really struggle. Yes. So Shenzhen's a really big market. We actually haven't gone live with this number, but we can share it as Indiegogo has helped China-based companies raise over $65 million since 2015 relative to our next best competitor, which is around $13 million from China. So we're doing 5x the business of any other global crowdfunding platform. It's a huge market for us effectively. And our plans here, one, we want to continue to grow our resources on the ground. So we're actually hiring a team here, and we want to be opening an office. So when people want to contact us, it's not cross time zone calls anymore. It's they go into an office and they talk to somebody who can really help them. Yes, crowdfunding is actually continuously growing, and a lot more people are interested in it from small-sized businesses, and actually we actually see a lot more larger companies, even major corporations, companies that have gone public, think about crowdfunding because it really is the best avenue to hitting that early adoption part of the curve, and that's really important if you want to be at the forefront before you actually sink into the mass majority adoption. Where crowdfunding we see is heading is that it's going to be a lot more quality controlled. And I think that that's really important for several reasons. We hear all of these myths about the crowdfunding companies that never deliver their product, and unfortunately it tarnishes the game for everybody, from the founders to the backers, and we don't want to see that anymore. So more and more crowdfunding platforms are instating rules around what can be launched and what cannot be launched. One example, if you have all rendering, sometimes that's a project that may not be fully supported. And then also, if you can't demonstrate through a conversation with our team that you have a working prototype, we may make the judgment that that project's not suitable for people to put their money behind unless they make absolutely clear, you're not going to be getting anything out of this in exchange. So we want to protect our backers, and that's what crowdfunding is going to turn into at some point, which is a lot more of a secure transaction between companies and backers. That actually might take the form of something like a pre-order platform or a lot more e-commerce focus.
Okay.